Bapak dan Ibu yang terhormat, dengan Flight Service Manager Marina berbicara.
Today's guest is Chandra Firmanto, founder and managing partner at IndoGen Capital. Before founding IndoGen, Chandra was the chairman of his family-owned group. IndoGen Capital aims to be a value-adding partner for founders looking to expand into Indonesia. Hi, Chandra. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, David. Thank you for having me. Such an honor. I really appreciate your invitations to join your podcast. Let's have a fun time today.
Yes, let's do that. And it's my honor as well. Okay. To start off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to founding IndoGen Capital?
Sure. My name is Chandra Firmanto. I'm from Indonesia. So I grew up actually in an island outside from Java. So Indonesia consisted of 5 big islands. The capital city is located in Java Island. So I actually grew up in Borneo Island. So it's the biggest
Borneo Island.
Right, right in the middle.
Like Kalimantan for Malaysia, right?
Yes, Kalimantan. We actually bordered with Sarawak, with Malaysia. And I grew up there until high school. Afterwards, that I went to university in US. I went to USC. After my USC time, I worked for 2.5 years in Accenture in Marina Del Rey area. So I worked there for 2.5 years, enjoyed my time in US. I actually just came back from US, but I still miss US.
Okay.
And then from there, I came back and then handled my family business. So my family business also initially started in West Borneo, in the Borneo Island. And then we quickly actually expanded to Java as well, where the economic growth lies, and then also to the other part of Indonesia. So my family business we are doing mostly distribution. So we distribute Yamaha motorcycles, Dunlop tires, many spare parts brands as well. Also fast-moving consumer goods like Unilever, all the other brands as well. We also distribute ice cream like Walls ice cream. Also another brand from China, Yili Dairy. If you are familiar with the brand, one of the largest, I think, dairy manufacturer in China right now. And we also expanded into financial sectors. We have small banks. We also have a multi-finance companies. That's why I understand pretty much about the automotive sectors and also the financial sectors. And from there, we also expanded into property. We have a JV with one of the largest conglomerate group in Indonesia, and also a JV for hotel franchise in Indonesia as well. And we also have shares in Busan Auto Finance, which is one of the largest multi-finance company in Indonesia. The company actually initiated by Mitsui Group from Japan. And that's why I just explained about our experience working with so many Japanese conglomerates. That's the reason why we understand really well about the Japanese corporations play. And right now we are serving under JETRO as the official venture partners for Southeast Asia. So JETRO is the Japanese Trade Organization.
Yes. Yeah.
And after my actually family business time in about 2015, I handed over the operations to professionals. So I moved myself to become chairman, and then eventually I started IndoGen Capital in end of 2016. We made our first investment actually early 2017. Until today, we have made 23 investments to date with 4 successful exits. And our specialty is actually investing into well-performing startups, well-funded startups that actually need help to win Indonesian market. So our tagline is actually we want to be the best partners to win Indonesian market. And the reason why we can do that is because we have a very good networks reaching to the second and third tier cities across Indonesia. In fact, we have networks reaching to over 150 cities across Indonesia. So that's where our connections come in handy, and we try to help startups actually to expand beyond Jakarta and greater area.
Yeah. Thank you for introduction. Sounds like your family is focused on all the hot industry sector. I mean, booming in Indonesia, right?
That's true, but outside from the hotels, obviously,
Yeah,
which is not doing well right now.
that's an emergency crisis situation, so nobody can
Yes.
fix that issue. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I heard that interesting comment from some Indonesian friend. They say that when you are looking for the local partner in Indonesia, it is a very good idea to find a local partner who did work with a Japanese trading company. What do you think
That's
about that
true.
comment? What do you think about that comment?
I think I think I mean, like, from my experience working with Japanese, we have to be I think, like, very punctual, right? We have to be very professional as well.
Kind of discipline, right?
Yeah, you cannot over promise anything, so you have to kind of like under promise and over deliver, right? So that's
Yes.
the key, right?
Yes.
So that's our habit as well.
Yeah.
Right now, working with startups, so I don't like to promise anything to the founders, but I like to learn about what will be the most important points for them to achieve, right? So, say for this round, before they can raise the big round, the next big round, right? And from
Yes.
there, then we usually try to connect and then to help to achieve that goals. And
Yes.
then usually then we will, again, using the same method, I mean, like, under promise and over deliver, which is also the key
Yes. So you
working with the
agree?
Japanese corporations.
You agree
Yeah.
with that comment, right?
Yeah, I agree. But you need to know the way to work around them as well, because uh, the Japanese corporations, they will admit it themselves as well. So I don't mind saying it. They are very I think, like, very structured. So they
Yeah.
tend to be very slow, right?
Everyone has a strength
But
and the
the reason
weakness.
why
Everyone has a strength
that's
and
true,
weakness.
that's true.
Yes.
But you need to recognize the actually the pain points. What make
Right.
them actually become very slow, right? So most of the times it's because in the Japanese corporate world, they don't want to take risks
Right.
because they have the very great culture where they have to take responsibility if something bad happens. So because of that, nobody dare to take any risk, because
Right.
if they make mistakes, then in the Japanese cultures is a harakiri, seppuku,
Yeah. How to
or even
Yeah.
yakuza. They have to cut the
Yeah.
fingers and
That's
etc. So that makes sense, right? The culture actually doesn't allow them to make mistake. So that's why they don't
yeah.
they don't like to take any risks. So if you
Or to take
if you
advantage of others for short time interest, right?
yes, so you have to be able to bring it to them that this is going to be good for you, not uh, getting you into trouble with your upper management. That's the
Right.
key.
Yeah. I have a lot of Japanese business friends. I feel that their time frame very different, much longer. So we
That's
know
true.
that a lot of restaurant is more than 100 years old and then still very popular, thriving in Japan. So we can understand the business model is focusing on 100 years. But most of people, human being or the businessman, we are very focused on the 1 year, 2 year, 3 years because investors are interested in that too, right? We need to
That's true.
report out the 3 months report, the 1 year report, and then CEOs is main interest is focusing on the short term, mid term, at best. That's true. So different perspective, different interest, different way to run the business. Yeah. And I saw that Jennifer Chong is one of my guests I interviewed last week. I found her name in your the LinkedIn the company page. What relationship do you with her?
Yeah, so she's our venture partners in Hong Kong. I've known Jennifer for quite some time already. It's very unfortunate that I cannot travel to Hong Kong to meet her and other friends as well. I miss traveling, right? So I just came back from US, so I made the bold move of going to US actually last month because I got bored with the situation as well. So I decided to go to US and then receive my vaccines as well there. So along the way. So yeah, Jennifer has been very brilliant and then has been very supportive as well. So we have a number of venture partners actually in I think developed countries such as Hong Kong or say Taiwan, also in Japan and Korea. And reason is because we want to pay attention to the latest trends, right? Usually the shifting of trends actually happening in the developed markets first, and then we'll come to Indonesia or Southeast Asia afterwards.
Yes.
So most of the times we also compare and contrast between startups, and then we also fit them. For example, like which startups are going to do well, say in Southeast Asia, and then we look for the comparisons in East Asia. And from there, then we can see whether the journey is actually going to the right directions or going to the dangerous directions. So that's the part is I think it's very important to actually have a venture partners in developed markets like US and East Asia. I think it's going to be beneficial for all VCs as well.
Gotcha. I mean, whenever I ask the questions, the managing partner of the venture capital, I mean, what is the important things or what do you look for evaluating the early stage investment opportunity? Many people say, beside the textbook answer is a good team, right technology, business model, etc. But interesting things I found out that they talk about trend and timing. So that's a very important things when they are considering early stage investment opportunity. But you said that you invest in the Series A, but still they're not mature the company. So what do you think about their comment or view?
Yeah, I think when you talk about timing, basically you're talking about luck, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's connected to luck. So if you're in luck, then you probably the timing can be perfect because nobody else can actually can time the timing, right? Which is not possible, right? So I would like to bring another I think like key points. I think that will make it successful for founders. Actually, I think it's network. So the network I think is more critical than timing, because from the network actually you can even say if your timing not right, but still you are in the right industry, say you can fundraise, try to pivot a bit here and there, then eventually then you will arrive to your destination as well, which is a successful exit, right? So I think I really believe that network is the key. So network consisting of network how to get tractions, network how to do fundraising, right? Network of VCs and friends that will be able to help you and to give you good advice. So before somebody want to start to become a founders, I think they really need to evaluate their networks. So if the network's not really good yet, I really suggest for the founders actually to try to build his or her network first. That would be the key.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of people talk about network. So try to meet with the people. Try to meet with a lot of experienced entrepreneur, business people, mentor, investor, financier. So how could we or could they build a network? Because just meeting people and collecting the business card, maybe that's the easiest way people can think of. What kind of relationship they need to build with the business people, potential partner or investor? Or
That's a very good question, actually. So many people will know many people, right? So we can say that, oh, I know him, I know her, right? But the moment of truth will come when you ask for favor. Will they help you, right?
Right.
That will be the moment of truth, right? And then I really believe that in this lifetime, our short lifetime, it's very important for us actually to be helpful to other people. Yes. So before we ask anything from other people, why don't we try to help other people first? That would be the key, right? So this kind of like behavior, I think, is very critical to build networks. So once you are recognized to be the person that is always helpful, not asking anything in return, right? Especially right away.
Not transactional, right? Not transactional.
Yes, right? Exactly. Then people will appreciate you, right? Then
yes,
once they appreciate you, then you have a very good networks. I guarantee you, because people will be very eager actually to help you, very eager, because you haven't asked them any favor, right? So this is also important points that we stress out. Like the relationship between startups and corporations. So I know many CEOs of big corporations in Indonesia, but I don't like to bring them just any startups to introduce, because that is going to be the fastest way to ruin your networks, right? So the key is actually to find the benefits that you can bring to the corporations and vice versa. If you want to introduce anyone to the startup or the founder, you need to think about whether this is going to be really good for the startups. If it's not really good yet, you have to be very frank to tell the person that, hey, I'm sorry, but I don't think that you can bring value to that startups. So I cannot do any introductions. Many people will just do the introduction because of it's very easy, right? Just set up a say a WhatsApp group, or maybe doing introductions through emails. But actually, they are putting stress on the relationship with the other person, because the other person will quickly learn that, oh man, yeah, he or she will just introduce anyone to me, right? And then most of the time, it's not going to benefit me, going to take my precious time, right? So that is the part that we are very careful of. We don't want to introduce anyone to anyone. We don't. Both parties actually benefited.
Yes. Yeah, I agree, but very difficult. I don't know the good answer for that, right? I don't know the
very
good
difficult.
answer.
I agree.
Very difficult. Yes, yeah, because we are super focused on the something in front of our eyes because of our DNA. DNA is evolved millions of years, right?
That's true.
a problem.
That's true.
Yeah. So I remember recently I watched the movie. I don't know which movie, but they say that among the actors they say that trust me, believe me, like it's action movie. And another mafia guy said that trust and relation is not something to give you free of charge. Why should I trust you? Why should I give my trust to you? Right? They say you should build the trust from today on. That's a very interesting, right? Very, very interesting, very simple comment, but very profound. I think very difficult to execute in our lives. I think. Yeah.
That's true. It's you have to earn it, right?
Basically. Yeah, on it. You have to earn the trust.
Yeah, you have to pay your dues. Once you have paid your dues, then you have won their trust. Then yeah, they can trust you. That's true.
Right. This day, I hear that a lot of people talk about the low-hanging fruit, right? The ride-hailing, food delivery, e-commerce, fintech, and all those things. What is, the biggest trend in startups in Indonesia at the moment? Probably related to post-pandemic. What is the sector and business model? Which do you think that will go through the explosive growth post-pandemic?
Yeah, I think it's very easy to talk about those sectors, the one that you just mentioned, because if you look at Indonesian market first, I think the startups that can do well is startups that are focusing on consumer market, right? So that's the first answer. So consumer market will do well. Recently, we have about 275 million populations, right? And then average median age of our population is about 28, 29 years old. So very young population as well. About half actually generation millennial and generation Z. So it's a very promising and very consumptive market as well. So I think if you look at startups that are actually focusing on the consumer markets, they should do well, especially because the champion of all the startups right now, actually the one that has done really well with the consumer markets, such as e-commerce players, ride-hailing players, right? And then obviously there is the rise of digital banking as well, again targeting consumer markets, right? And then from there, then you can see that the other startups we follow them, right? For example, like from the agri-tech like Tani Hub or Sayurbox, right? And then there will be, say, Aruna from fishery as well. They should do really well as well. And then after that, you look at the logistics sectors, the 3PL, 4PL players like Ware6, Shippers, a good friend of mine, Budi, shout out to him. And then I think they all will do well, right? There will be future unicorns. And we also have portfolio in esports, which is EFOS, right? I think that the trend of esports right now in Southeast Asia also has been really, really good. And then also the latest unicorns, which is Karsam, right? So you can see that the potential is definitely there. It's massive. I really believe that 2022 is going to be the year of startups for Southeast Asia, and I think all over the world they will start paying attention to Southeast Asia. So right now, I think Southeast Asia as a region have have gained interest from investors from East Asia, but not yet from Silicon Valley or North America, right? But I think 2022 they will start paying attention to this region, and then 2023 is going to be the boom year for Southeast Asia.
Yeah, I agree. I can see like in terms of valuation, the valuation in the U.S. and European market are huge, and or including China. But the valuation of startup in Korea and Japan, uh, I mean, considering the substance of business model and revenue, I felt it a little much smaller than as compared to those market I mentioned, right? But
Yes,
now
that's true.
I can see the change. I can see the change. A lot of company in those Eastern Asia like Korea and Japan, their valuation is quickly growing because the
Mhm.
international global investor they pay attention to those market because they are quite big and technology big, and also it has a potential to expand the business beyond those home market. So it's a combination of everything. So I can see that a lot of unicorn booming from those markets. So same thing will happen, expand into the Southeast Asia. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's very natural, right? Because
Yeah, very
the
natural.
East Asia investors they know the market of the Southeast
Yes.
Asia market better than the North American investors, right? So it's once they have reached unicorn status or they have enough capital, then it's good to race to Southeast Asia and then to capture the market first, right?
Yeah, adjacent expansion. Naturally, they cannot go.
Yes.
I mean, the million miles away from home. They need to expand the adjacent neighborhood first, right? Yeah, agree. So, you already talk about your portfolio company, Carson, which I know very well. I used to be a customer for them. So, can you tell us
No,
a little
thank you
bit
for
of?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I contribute just a tiny penny.
Oh, but
Oh,
every competition, I
yeah,
mean, contribution does matter. So
right.
thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, beside Carson, would you please tell us a little bit about your portfolio company you're bullish about, and then the reason you made investment in them, one or two?
Yeah. We have so many, obviously, but the one that the latest investment we made, actually, the one that we can announce, all right?
Yes.
We had two that we haven't been able to announce yet, but the one that we can announce is actually EVOS, right, in esports. So I actually made the connections between EVOS to Yamaha, which is one of the leader in motorcycle industry in Indonesia, right? So the leaders are only two, right? There are only two players, major players, Honda and Yamaha. So Honda owns about 65-70% of the market, and then Yamaha owns about 30%. But it's a very huge market. Indonesia alone, the demand for motorcycle last year was about 10 to 12 billion units of motorcycles. So
Yes.
I think largest market in the world right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
True.
that's why it's a very potential market. And then you can see that there is a war going on to get the mind share of the young generations, which is very important. Why? Because obviously, if you're talking about the motorcycles for the future of the motorcycles, you're talking about electric motorcycles. So electric motorcycles, you want to win the mind shares of the young generation first. So in order to win the mind share of the young generations, you you have to be very close to them. How to be very close to them is something that you have to be with them, doing something that they like to do, which is actually playing esports, right? Playing games.
Yep.
So the big numbers that we can share today is actually 50 millions of Indonesians out of 275 millions is actually daily active gamer. So they play at least one mobile game a day,
Mm.
right? So
Yes.
that is a scary number actually, right? And
Yes.
that's actually last year number. So I think this year, due to the pandemic, should be even greater. So if you look at this number, you can see why Garena is actually doing really well in Indonesia, right? Why Garena is actually doing really well in Southeast Asia. It's because the distributions of the mobile gaming, right? And then also they developed their own mobile game, which is a Free Fire, that have a big active users. I think about 20 million in Indonesia alone, right? So they generated tons of revenue from there. So and then you can see that the esports they control the ecosystems of between the players, the gamers, right? So and then they can influence you and influence the actually the directions of the users, right? It's the same if say if you are a big fan, say of a soccer team or an NFL team, then you will try to connect yourself to the what is become the trend of the teams, right? So in this case is if Yamaha is become the sponsors of EVOS, then obviously then you will become intrigued with Yamaha. You want to learn the motorcycles, right?
Yeah.
But the key is actually not to make Yamaha sounds to be trying to push the motorcycles or the brands to the young generations, because the young generations, they are not like us, right?
Right.
So sorry to say, we come not from the generation millennial and Z anymore, right? So the millennial and Z, they don't like us to tell them which one is good, which one is the best, which what you have to do. So you need to actually to provoke their interest, right? You need to make them become intrigued and want to find out more. So with the Yamaha, actually I really proud that EVOS actually suggested to them not to put just a Yamaha logo on the jersey. So what they put on the jersey is actually generation 125.
Yes.
So it's a rally cry. So basically the rally cry is this is the generation that is not going to tag actually you can say exceptional products. So the product have to be exceptional, have to be right with the price, right? So this generation 125 is actually is the way for Yamaha actually to take a hit to the competitors, because the lowest spec of Yamaha motorcycles in Indonesia is 125 cc, okay, for the engine, while the competitions are actually 110 cc. So they want to educate the young generations that with the same price, Yamaha is actually giving you more, right? But you don't want to do it by saying it to the young generations. How to do it? The way that you do it is actually you create a rally cry, generation 125. Then after that, you put it on the jersey, and then they will try to find out. Everyone search about it, Google it.
Nudging, right? Nudging.
Yes, and then you put a trap already in the all the educations about generation 125 about, and over there then you can put messages about how good is the motorcycles, how well is the technology, and then why you should pick Yamaha, something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this kind of thing actually is a reminder that being an esports team, you cannot just have a big fan base. You need to be able to work with brands as well. And this is something that EVOS actually bring value, because they able to understand the needs of brands and then be able to convey the messages to their fans, which is very important. If they just put a logo or your logo, for example, or your brand in the jersey, that will create nothing to you, right? Because basically they will just notice that, oh, okay, Yamaha is a sponsor. Okay, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, then change the logo, then that's it, it's over, right?
Right.
So you want during the period of your sponsorships, how you can educate the young generations to understand more about your brands. That's what actually EVOS team and the management team bringing to the brands, which is really impressive. That's the reason why we decided to invest, even though initially I was not a believer in the gaming industry as well, because since childhood, my parents keep, lecturing me about, hey, don't play games, right? Study hard, don't play games, right? You know, all Asian parents, right? So
Yes.
that's basically, I have been
Same to me. I never played the game.
Exactly, same for me as well, right?
So I interviewed the chairman of one of the biggest unicorn game platform in Hong Kong a few weeks ago. So I don't know. I don't really understand his business model.
Is it Yatsu? No.
Yeah, Yatsu.
Oh, Yatsu. Yeah. Good friend of mine as well. Yeah, brilliant guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a brilliant guy. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He's a very brilliant guy. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
That's one. And another one that I want to bring up is the company that is under the radar. Nobody knows much about them. So the company name is Aino, AINO. So this company, actually the company that set up the payment terminals for public transportations.
Mm.
right? But everyone taking them for granted because everyone looking for the e-money players, right? Everyone looking for the e-money players, the fintech players. So they don't look for the guy that actually set up the terminals for accepting all the payments. And then in Indonesia, it's actually very painful to become the payment terminals operator. Why? Because unlike other countries, where, for example, in Japan, you only have to accept Suica and Pasmo, right?
Yeah.
For example, in Singapore, you have to accept only EasyLink, right? In Indonesia, you need to accept payments from so many providers. So from different banks, different providers as well, have to be accepted into one single terminal. Just imagine that. And then you cannot put all the payments into one central bank first. Okay, so usually they will deposit it into one central bank. Then after that, you can do the disbursement, right? That is the idea. No, in Indonesia, what you have to do is once you tap, they have to go straight to the banks. Bank account
Oh,
of
that's
each
a very
individuals.
interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
So
I
so
never heard of.
yeah, so this difficulty actually creating this company to be very capable
Right, I
because
agree.
they needed to think beyond what is necessary, right? So
Right.
even like we have this company already have investment from Entity Data, from TIS Corp from Japan as well. We brought them in during the last 2 rounds, and then the reason why they invested is because they also very intrigued because this is crazy. They said, how could you execute all of this, right? To be able to receive payments from different providers that have to go straight to each of the providers' bank account, right? So that's what they do. And then the company actually just won a tender for what is called Jaklingko. So Jaklingko is actually they can integrate all the public transportations and also the retail space, okay, around the public transportations terminals, and including MRT, LRT, the commuter lines, public buses, right, even until the ERP and also the toll route as well, into one single applications. Okay, so and this company is going to be the one that going to bring all these different entities together into one single platforms, and eventually they can push so many revenue models, advertisings to the users because all the Jakarta people and the greater area eventually have to download this one single apps, and this is amazing. So meaning that you can plan your payments through your mobile apps. So say you want single fare, you can do it. But if you want to do monthly subscription, you can do it also. So by doing that, then it will at least save time for all the commuters in Jakarta. So basically, you just pay one monthly fee, then you can go using all the public transportation for free for the entire month. Okay, not for free, but I mean you don't have to pay and then to buy tickets or just to tap payments into one single platforms anymore, right? Save you tons of times.
Yes, very interesting. And I'm now convinced that because these days people talk about Indonesia has a very good environment ecosystem for startup. So now convinced Indonesia has a more fragmented market and system and the challenges and issue, which is very helpful to start the startup in Indonesia and then become very innovative and solve those problems, right?
Yeah.
I'm very convinced. Yeah.
Indonesia is actually not very difficult to start a startup. For example, when you're talking about the fintech, I think license, right? So many people have the misunderstanding thinking that it's very difficult to get fintech license in Indonesia. Yes, true. You have to go through all the process, but the OJK or the Financial Services Authority actually very, very helpful in this part. They work really hard on this, and they actually allow you to operate first, right? So once you register, you can operate, and then after that, they will work with you to get you license. And then the point that they care about is actually whether you are doing healthy business, and then you are well funded, okay? Which is of course make lots of sense, right? But they got tons of bad reps from many bad startups because the startups actually get closed down because what they did was a P2P models, right? P2P funding models, providing bad loans, of course, high NPL. Then suddenly become not very healthy anymore, then of course the OGK had to close them down, right? But they get bad reps on that. But right now, we help one startup actually from Philippines expand it to Indonesia. It's called Fantany, has been invested by SBI as well, and then a big listed company from Japan. And these Japanese founders never traveled to Indonesia before. Only been to Bali, I believe. So it doesn't count as Indonesia, okay? It counts as a holiday destination. So he didn't have any experience about Indonesia, but very, very interested with the market because of the potentials. So he expanded from Philippines to Indonesia 2 years ago from our help. And then right now he already got his license, fully licensed already, right? And then I think did 4 times the tractions of Philippines in 1.5 years time. That's how massive the potential is.
Yeah, market is more dynamic. On that part, I fully agree based on my personal experience. Also, about the regulatory environment. If you look at like all the economy like Japan and Korea, they set up all the regulation upfront. Yeah, to some people, it looks like a very well organized. The problem is they set all the rules and regulation restriction, and then it's a very difficult environment for a startup to start something, right?
That's true. That's true. Right?
Yeah. So it's should have that way. Maybe it's Indonesian business, even government people, they have a huge tolerance about the ambiguity, right? Which is very beneficial for the startup environment. You build something from the scratch and then come up with the disruptive technology and business model. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Indonesia, as long as you know somebody that understands the market, then you get you can be educated by that person. I think you're good to start. No problem anymore.
Okay. Also, it's more diverse. Maybe as compared to the Japan, for example, that's a typical example. International investor may have a lot of complaint in the beginning, but more diverse, I think. Yeah. When I look at my previous background, I was like a corporate banking investment side all the time. So when I look at the Indonesian market, consumer and people, they are more receptive, even about the interest rate and the terms and condition financing investment. They can do whatever in Indonesia. But if you do the same business in Japan and Korea, customers are smarter than you. The higher the bank,
that's true.
most expensive lawyer, and then counter attack you, and then try to negotiate even 1 penny, right? Even including one less penny. And that very difficult to play. But if I interpret that situation in a very positive way, then is something Indonesian customer, they are ready to accept as long as it is beneficial on the high level. They don't care about all the detail, right? Yeah, that's my personal interpretation. Yeah. Very interesting. Okay, I finished all the boring questions. So my last question is, people, actually, I didn't do research about their business, whatever, but right before I started this call, I quickly Googled it. I found some interview somewhere, and then you mentioned I found an interesting sentence. Life is short, so need to balance between work and fun. So how do you balance between the work and fun? How do you enjoy life?
Okay, so obviously then you have to prioritize. You have to set your priority right first, right? So of course you have to prioritize your family, right? But on the other hand, it's easy to say, but you have goals to achieve as well, right? Without achieving your goals, then you cannot actually really prioritize your family, because in order to prioritize your family, then they have to live well, right? In order to live well, then you have to achieve your goals, right? So that's the key. So the key is, I think you have to have very good way of being very disciplined. You have to be very disciplined with your life, right? So for example, I will wake up at 6 and then do my exercise until 7. That's my me time. So I don't have any more me time. So my me time is actually my exercise time. So 6 to 7:30. 7:30, then I will start hitting with my meetings, internal, external. So it's very important not to be, I think, have to be very detail oriented. You need to trust your team. Not easy for me as well. I'm actually very detail oriented person. So it's very tough for me because I like to think that negatively. So that's the part that I'm working with right now. I'm working hard on to trust my team. So you need to trust your team, give them time to actually to execute. Okay, and then from there, then you actually just do checking, right? So that's the key. So you have to set your priority. Then after that, you have to trust your team. You have to be able to work with the schedule, be very disciplined, right? Then after that, then you need to have a target as well. For example, for my family time, I set up as my work schedule as well. So it's part of work. Okay, so every June and December, I will take actually a vacations holiday with my family. Okay, always. So in order to get that holiday time, then usually I will work with my team first beforehand to set up the how about the work pace. For example, when I was in US last month, right? So we decided on the time to call for calls, right? So the control is still there. I needed to work extra hours. So for example, you came back from the theme parks at 10 p.m., right? At night, then you still have to go for a call at say 12 until 1 a.m. in the morning. And the next day you have to wake up again at 6. So just a matter of you need to be very disciplined and treat it as being professionals as well. And then integrate the family time actually with your work time. So if you don't do that, it's just very easy actually to lose the to sacrifice the family time. Balance. You always will sacrifice your family time, right?
Yes.
Because you don't view it as part of the of something of the or goals that you want to achieve. So
Yes.
I actually put it as part of the goals that I want to achieve, right? So because of that, then I work with my team with the scheduling as well with my partners. And of course, you need to have great partners.
Yep.
Partners that believing in you. So I really appreciate my partners, Henry. He is 100%. Trusting me with all the process and everything. So we have been friends since junior high school. That's the reason why we can keep this high level of trust between one another. So he's handling deal sourcing. I'm handling the portfolio management and also the fundraising side, right? But we just meet once a week actually to update one another. That's it. So outside from that, actually we are trusting he will do good work with the team, and then he is trusting me that I will do good work with my team. So by dividing the workload, I think is very helpful for VC actually to be able to achieve balance between fun and also work, right? And for his side, he's also balancing his life as well between family and work. So it's very, very good and very happy for me to see that he has been able to do that as well. So that's, I think, is key as well, because if you're just trying to achieve your career, I think is not going to be good in the long run, right? Because having family and then spending time with them is also part of the investment process.
Agree. But hearing from you, my personal impression, you are very much focused on work and business. I don't know.
I'm actually very focused. I'm very focused. So, like I mentioned before, right? Even during vacations, I set up time.
Okay.
But at my, I will set it up according to whether I can take the workload or not. Of course, obviously, right? Then sometimes then I'll have to cancel the call as well if it's too tiring for me, right? For example, happened to me before, and then I ended up reaching the hotels at about 12 a.m. in the morning. So I decided to, sorry guys, maybe we can postpone the call until tomorrow, right? Because actually there is nothing too urgent, actually, not to be able to postpone, right? It's very important to prioritize your health as well. So that is the key that we are trying to achieve as well.
That's a dilemma of Asian culture, I think. This what you're talking about is even though we talk about balance between work and fun, very difficult to execute that. I worked at General Electric, American Group, long time, 1 decade, long time ago. And then what I found that my American colleague counterpart, the US and Europe, they just disappear entire December. We are about to close a very big cross-border M&A deal, but we are in the process of getting approval. They said, okay, we'll get the job done, but they just disappear without notice
My
anymore.
gosh, yes.
And they come back. This is something impossible, probably in recent days.
That is not being professional. So when I'm talking about balance between work and fun, you need to be able to communicate well. That is the key. Communication is key, right? So like I mentioned to you before, when I will have the trip to US, I communicated to my team 1 or 2 months in advance, and then after that work on a schedule with them to be able to still execute all the works, even though not 100% effective, but it's something that we can achieve, right? We can do together, right?
Yes.
So not to slow down the process too badly from their side, right?
Yes.
So we design something that we can be agreed together, right?
Yes.
So that is very important.
Sure,
so I think key is communications, right?
Right.
So if you don't communicate well with your team, like what happened with you with the GE team,
right?
I think of course it's bad.
Not only GE, I think it's typical for most of the American corporate large investment banks, JP Morgan, Goldman.
So it's not a balance between work and fun anymore. It's not balance anymore.
We are in the same side. We are on the same side. So I cannot become that way in my life. But I'm sure they have a lot of things to say about this topic, right? And another part of the world. Right?
Sometimes, of course, you have to sacrifice family as well. Sometimes, right? So, for example, very important call you cannot not to take. So you communicate again with your wife. Very important, right? Communicate with your wife and the kids, and then saying that, hey, I'm sorry, but this one is inevitable. I need to take this call, so give me an hour for this, right? But you don't take it for granted. So you realize that this is affecting other people as well. So you ask for their permission as well. So that's what I did actually.
Yes. Yeah. We are on the same side. I share the same opinion. I cannot change my lifestyle, but we are all different. Like guys in the other part of the world, they have the all different style. But work ethic in Asia is very, very important. Yeah, agree.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much taking time to share the very interesting story and about your fun and your journey. I really enjoyed it. It's very casual and comfortable, natural chat.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me, and thank you for reaching out through LinkedIn. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, stay in touch, okay?
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share with your friends, and drop me a review. Goodbye.